Hello and welcome to the Community Voice. I'm Fara. Today's topics include how to choose charitable partnerships for businesses to align with, and ageism, when some of us achieve some of our life's mission later in life. My guest today is Ellen Crane. She is the president of Ellen Crane APR LLC. It's all these initials. I love it. She is a senior level and strategic marketing and strategist consulting firm. She has a wealth of information, wealth of knowledge for our audience today. And she was chosen as one of the top 100 women in Broward County and honored with the Women of Distinction by the March of Dimes. Goes on from here. Ellen earned her black belt in mixed martial arts at the age of 54. And something I'm really, really proud to share, she is a cancer survivor as well as thriver. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you, Fara. Wow, that's very sweet. It's an honor to be here with you.
What does it feel like to hear me talk about some of your accomplishments and where you've been? I mean, it's been a long road of life. Thank God for that, right?
A little embarrassing, but no, it is. Life is a journey. It's been a journey, and it's great to be here to be able to share lessons learned. That's my main goal.
Absolutely. So let's talk about charitable partnerships, what that means, and how you work with companies to align their mission with working with charities.
So I've developed, I do a lot of PR. In fact, just to rewind a little bit, APR has nothing to do with interest rates.
Oh, you mean the one that I like went APR MXC?
It's confusing. It means I'm accredited in public relations. I'm also a member of the College of Fellows. So those are professional development credentials. So early in my career, I became accredited in PR, and then later in my career, I also applied to become a member of the College of Fellows. So those are grueling professional development credentials that you have to work toward. So that's why I like to brag about them, because they were really hard to attain.
Do you feel that PR was your calling, being a voice
absolutely.
for businesses? Like,
yes.
Did you wake up when you were 3 years old and say, I'm going to negotiate for my ice cream?
I didn't know what PR was when I was 3. I actually went to the University of Georgia and was assigned a work-study assignment in the Office of Public Relations. I didn't even know what it was. I knew I loved to write and I wanted to be in journalism. But when I worked in the Office of Public Relations, I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. I think I want to pursue that. So that's how I ended up doing the career. But back to your question about
we had a question? I mean, we're not going down another path. It's okay.
We do. But so as I've worked with companies over my career, I have found that a lot of them love giving back to the community and just respond to requests that they get. And one example is I worked with a law firm once, and I sat down with them and I said, do you know that you guys have given away, I don't know what it was, like $500,000 this year, but in small amounts, like $1,000 here or $100 here, or you had your logo on a run for a charity, or, your wife's best friend asked that you do a journal ad. So you, through all those scattered gifts, gave away $500,000. And nobody knows what you support. Nobody knows what your mission is. So wouldn't it be better if you took that same amount of money and gave to fewer organizations that really align with your mission? So that's how I became interested in strategic corporate giving and helping companies use that as a very important PR tool, because whether you're a hairdresser or a multi-billion-dollar airline, people hire people they know, like, and trust, right? And through corporate partnerships with charitable organizations in your community is the best way to elevate your awareness and your reputation.
But how do you know that? How does that process begin? How do companies have to know their mission? They have to understand the mission of the charity and how that marriage might work. So walk me through that a little bit.
So it really starts as an internal discussion. Like, what do you stand for as a company? And it doesn't have to be just one thing. It could be 3 or 4 things, in different categories. Maybe it's children, maybe it's education, maybe it's the arts. But what social cause aligns with your mission as a company.
So we're talking about a company. It could be with employees, or it can be one that's on a solo practitioner, business person in a community.
It could be. I mean, obviously, the bigger companies have the bigger budgets and the bigger resources to create multifaceted partnerships. So what I teach companies, and once you've figured out like your buckets and what you want to stand for, then you look for the charities that match. And there's usually a filtering process too. Like you want to find a charitable organization that reflects where your employees and your customers live, work, and play, right? You want to find a charity that has good ratings at GuideStar, that their money really goes to the cause. They don't pay their CEO millions of dollars, that they have good ratings, third-party ratings. Their board members. Do the board members reflect the people that you want to reach, that you want to build relationships with? So those are just some of the filters that you look at. And then you align the two, like your mission and the charities. And sometimes it takes some research and vetting. But then when you find that partnership, then you create a multifaceted relationship. You don't just slap your logo on their website. Like, how do you involve your employees? How do you get one of your executives on their board of directors? Like, what do you want to do as a partnership that benefits the charity long term? You can write them a check, but what about writing them a check for a program that's very focused and ensures longevity?
So you speak about also the garden logo. You speak about things that you throw yourself around and you're scattered and you never really get the results, the partnership, the relationship building that is necessary, because this isn't something that just happens quickly.
Exactly.
It's a long-term commitment and energy, sweat equity to really be recognized in any field. But
Right.
But again, working with charities, because that's a slower process.
It is. It takes a lot of focus and collaboration. And you said the golden word. It's all about relationships, right? A mutually beneficial relationship, right? It's not all about how much publicity are you going to get because you gave them X amount of money. That's part of it, maybe. But what are you doing to further the mission of the charity? And then what are they doing to support you as a business, right? And it is multifaceted, and it takes a lot of work to figure those nuances out and ensure that it lasts.
It's understandable why a company would want to align with a charity, but talk about the reverse of that. How the charity could help the business. You bring that up, and I want to take that a little step further. What is it that you're looking for? What should a business look for?
So this kind of goes back to, using examples. That's the best way to do it. I think I created a program for a local law firm called the Pathways to Careers in Law.
And we have some pictures on that. Let's jump to the pathways.
Just to give you a little background, that literally started as a simple conversation with their first female senior partner. Now, this is a 50-year law firm, and they just had created a position for a senior partner. So they decided they needed to be a better pipeline for diverse candidates in law. So we partnered with the Nova College of Law and a law magnet program at a high school. So what the program does is it creates a pipeline. So we start in high school with kids, they become fellows. And for a year, these students go visit the courtroom, they go to the law school, they do a mock law class, they visit the law firm, they do internships. The law firm comes to the school. They get a chance to really interact with practicing attorneys, they meet judges. And as a result, these kids decide whether they want to go to law school or not. That's an example of them meeting a federal judge. Say they visit the federal courthouse, the county courthouse. And this program has been going on for 3 years. So again, the way this program started is a great story. When I called the law magnet coordinator at Fort Lauderdale High, he said, I had a moot court student who is a superstar. And he said to me, I don't think I'm ever going to go to college. I can't afford it. And I thought, oh my God, that can't happen, right? These kids should not be encumbered by their situation. So the purpose of this program is to create support, lift them up so they know they can pursue a career in law if they want to. So after 3 years, we already went from 0 kids going to Nova to 3 kids going to Nova. 2 have done full-time internships at the law firm, and we did a reception recently at Nova, and 12 judges showed up. These were all graduates of Nova and are currently practicing judges that spent 2 hours networking with the kids. So that's an example of a law firm who's gotten publicity over this. I mean, it's been covered, and they're building relationships. They're looking good in the eyes of judges. They look good in the eyes of the law school, who has a lot of influential attorneys on their board. But more importantly, they're making a difference in the lives of students.
Absolutely.
So this is mutually beneficial.
Absolutely. And you have another Canon. Let's talk about Canon.
So Canon was the same situation. I met with the head of marketing, and she said, nobody knows we exist in Boca. We have this huge company that is the printing division of Canon, right? And she has, we produce these multi-million-dollar machines. In fact, Amazon uses these machines. When you order a book, they print the book on order. She goes, we have this asset we want to get back to the community. So I reached out to the Palm Beach School District and met with the head of their literacy program. And she said, I've always had a dream to start a summer program for kids who love to write. I'm like, boom, that's it. So out of that, we started the Future Authors program. The kids got free 2 weeks of summer camp where they got to meet with real teachers and write. They didn't have to be the star students. They just had to be the students that love to write. So the teachers selected the students. We got grants to pay for the teachers. And it just took off. I think it's now in its 15th year. But the kids really get to write their own book. And Canon prints a real book for them every year. And there's a picture that of a student that was in the very first class, the girl in the middle. She was in the very first class that we did, and she went on to go to college and become a published author. And at 10 years, she came back to address the kids that were in the class. So that's the 10-year book signing. So again, that program was Canon being able to develop relationships in the local community and with the school district, and the school district being able to give an opportunity for students that they wouldn't have had otherwise, where they got to actually become published authors. So win-win.
So what does it feel like for you, Ellen, to be like
amazing,
the conductor
rewarding.
of this orchestra and just sitting back and watching how these relationships flourish and grow?
And it's rewarding for me because I get to use my PR skills to figure it out. But then
it's a Rubik's Cube, isn't it?
It's totally a Rubik's Cube. And the company benefits, the charity benefits, and like you were saying earlier, it's relationships. Those relationships are solid. The Canon Future Authors Program has become a national endeavor now, and the school district, still works with them after many, many years. Same with the pathways. Eventually, that takes a commitment like that law firm had to realize we have a 10-year commitment here, but they're going to have a pool of candidates to join their firm that have been through this Pathways program.
It's a beautiful, beautiful synergy to hear, and I think that is really important when a business is choosing who to align with and how to really make an impact on the future minds of little girls, little boys,
yes, right.
And we talked about that earlier today. What role do you believe that the corporations have for social responsibility in today's business landscape, and how do you see it evolving in the future?
So, it starts with the leadership of a company. And those of us, it's maybe a little naive to think that every company out there has an altruistic attitude. But this is just smart business. I have a quote here that one of my mentors wrote a book, and he has a chapter called The Role of Philanthropy. And he just said that it's a business decision, like it's a smart business decision. And he cites companies like Starbucks and Time Warner and the Gates Foundation. Those are companies that are known for how much of an impact they have in the world. So it's like it's just an attitude that it's critical for every business that if you take from the community, you need to give back. And your employees become more engaged and feel better about working for your company when you give back. Your customers, your stakeholders, your donor, everybody that is affiliated with your company feels better about you. So your reputation is enhanced, your awareness is enhanced. And again, people do business with people and companies they know, like, and trust. And corporate philanthropy and partnerships is one of the best techniques for getting there.
And you help folks figure out this Rubik's Cube.
Yes, I sit with them, obviously, and listen to their business objectives and their goals, and what do you want to achieve, and what holes are there in your business, and then you find a charity where they match. Yeah, and it's like you said, the Rubik's Cube, and trying to figure that out.
So we're going to roll a little bit of promotion for you underneath our interview at the moment, so that people can reach out to you for more information. It's EllenCraneAPR.com. I got it right now. Or they could call at 954-895-3152. When we move forward in this conversation, what else would you like folks to know that we might not have covered in the moments of the questions that I've asked?
I think it just goes back to basic awareness. Do you want to do scattered giving, where you dole out kind of in an unstrategic way, a little bit here and a little bit there? I'm not to say don't do that, because, you might have an employee who has a certain disease and you want to support that employee in a run, so there are opportunities, but think about strategically, what are your causes and how do I pool those resources in a little bit of a larger pot, so I can make more of a difference in my community.
So it's not pollination, but really is helping grow the flower once it's pollinated. And I think that's
great analogy.
It's really important to dive deep, and
and it just takes some thought and awareness and planning.
So I'm going to change gears, Wonder Woman.
You're the Wonder Woman.
No. What is this about? Let's talk. We talked about this off camera. What is this about? What is it? Standing
funny.
Standing
so
strong.
One of my side gigs is
do it with me.
One of my side gigs is I do coaching for women, and we do a program called for imposter syndrome, which is actually something when men suffer from too. But we all have imposter syndrome. But
women are more willing to talk about their imposter syndrome than men, right?
Probably, yes. And so the Wonder Woman pose has been scientifically proven to actually change your brain chemistry. So when, and it's important to stand up, which we can't do right now, but if you stand up and put your hands on your hips and puff up your chest and feel like Wonder Woman, it really does change your brain chemistry, and it makes you laugh, if nothing else.
Yeah, when we did it before with our producer, Rachel, I was like, well, let's all get up and do it now. And it was something of ownership, and I felt like empowered.
Yes. And it's a physiological happening in your body. It really does.
So I'm going to run around my office and run around social and networking opportunities. Things like, come on, women. Come on, guys.
It makes a difference.
We're not imposters. We're really strong.
Yes.
One of the other topics I really wanted to touch is Older People Rock blog that you put together. And it's about ageism and how we grow and sometimes find our missions work later on, not in our 20s, not in our 30s, and moving forward. Let's talk a little bit about that and what that means to you and why you got involved.
So it was sort of I unfortunately was laid off from my favorite corporate job when I was in my 60s, right? Like you said, I just had finished cancer treatment. I had 3 daughters in college, and I lost my job. And then I started trying to find a new one. And I never thought about ageism at all. I never had trouble getting jobs. I worked for American Airlines and Hill & Knowlton, and I've had a great career. I'm very blessed.
Reading your bio, it was like you're a mover and shaker.
And so I'm like
she doesn't even want to do it. Nah, I'm not even going to talk about it. Okay.
I interviewed for jobs, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to hire me? I'm awesome, right? And then it hit me, right, that I'm a little older, right? And so then I started digging into this. I actually wrote an op-ed piece for the Sun Sentinel. They were gracious enough to run it. And then out of the woodwork, because I'm a LinkedIn geek too, I love LinkedIn, and there's an entire community out there of people who are ageism advocates. And I'm like, I want to be part of that.
Wait, how old? The biggest thing is, how old do you have to be part of this?
It depends. Club? I mean, some people feel like they suffer from age discrimination starting in their 50s, which is really hard to believe. But today's world, people in their 50s, 60s, even 70s. I have friends in their 80s that are still as sharp and vibrant as I was in my 20s, that have a lot to contribute, that still have the energy to contribute. But our society traditionally has made people feel inadequate or less than when they're older. Do you remember the movie The Intern? Have you seen the movie The Intern? It's just like the perfect example of what really happens every single day. So as I've dug into the stats and found some incredible myths, for example, companies may think that an older person is going to have higher healthcare costs, when the opposite is actually true statistically. Younger people have babies, have more diseases, are out more, get more injuries, right? An older person shows up for work. They don't have to go take time off to pick up their kid at school, right? They generally have fewer healthcare costs and are healthier and are more loyal, and they're going to stay in a job for a longer period of time and are willing to learn technology. Like, I love technology and social media, even at my age, but I take a lot of classes and I work hard to get up to speed, right? Just because I'm older doesn't mean I'm not capable of learning the new techniques. And I also love working with younger people. I actually have a couple of younger mentors. I do the reverse mentoring. I literally have a mentor who teaches me all about influencers because I need to know that, right? And she laughed when I told her she was my mentor. But I'm like, no, I need young mentors. I'll be your mentor too. But so anyway, and there are also studies about intergenerational teams and how powerful that is. If a company is open to considering that, bringing older people and younger workers together is really powerful.
This is that's an amazing way of looking at it, because when you think of older people, it's less, you're declining. And if you get into that rhetoric, if you get into that mindset, so it's a vibrant time. It's a vibrant time. And what else have you learned? I mean, you learned that you can learn from younger people.
Learn from younger.
I went to a social media. I have to tell you, I went on to a social media training last weekend, and I was like, okay, I'm going to learn something. I'm the dinosaur in the room, but I knew more than these young people.
Really? That's awesome.
I was like,
there you go. See?
Puff
there you go.
Puff up my chest, Tarzan.
Right.
Yeah, but I felt, but it's interesting that as long as you're teachable and you're open to it.
It's all about lifelong learning, right? Never stop learning. I love learning. I feel like a sponge all the time, right? And I never want to stop that. And I think it's an attitude, right? And I also, you actually mentioned earlier, maybe before we started this program, in that I've spent decades learning PR, and I feel like I'm at a point now where I have so much to share. And I want to be able to share that. I want to teach other people. I want to share the lessons I've learned, what not to do and what to do, right? And I think we can all learn so much from each other. If we're open to working with people from all backgrounds and all ages.
And it's a day-to-day thing, because it changes. The industry for PR changes.
Oh my goodness, yes.
The way the world, well, it still rotates in the same way, thank God. Otherwise it would be in another universe. But we do learn as we go. And I think that's really an important. What was the biggest takeaway that you learned by doing these blogging posts, stories?
So the older people rock. And that's actually so funny. I was on a podcast that the editor of Entrepreneur Magazine does called Help Wanted. And I pitched to be on the on the podcast, to help me get a job, right? It's called Help Wanted. But what happened is one of the anchors said, oh, I used to do a blog called Younger People Rock, because she had discrimination as a younger person. I'm like, I'm stealing that. And I am going to start featuring anybody over 60 that's still vibrant and working in a corporate job. And so I've been doing a series on LinkedIn called Older People Rock. And it's all about people 60 and older now that have corporate jobs, high-level jobs. They have their own business. They're yoga teachers, whatever they're doing. They're vibrant, active, older people.
So what would you say? We talk a lot about the business world. Let's bring it back to corporations. What message would you like to share and impart with those businesses about the workforce of older workers?
I think it's really just getting hiring managers to be open.
So changing their paradigm.
Yeah, be open. Like, don't look at the age. Don't look at the long list of experiences as a value added for your organization, and be open to bringing in older people. And also don't think that they are going to demand a high level and a high salary. A lot of older people are willing to do jobs at all different levels because they want to learn and they want to be part of an organization. So it's really, I think it starts with the hiring managers being open.
And I think by working, one really keeps fresh, keeps vibrant, keeps social, makes money, and just connects with a community that's so important. And as we age, maybe we don't reach out as much. And I think keeping that in the cycle for a social situation is probably of the paramount.
I think you're right. I think it keeps us healthy. And yes, being around people and learning new things is, and you can, everybody's different. I'm not going to say that everybody wants to work. Some people are happy retiring in Costa Rica and sitting on the beach or whatever. That's fine. Like, it's not like whatever
floats your boat.
Exactly. But I think it's just it's a chance for our society to open up for those of us that want to work and want to stay active and involved. Be open to letting us do that.
Absolutely. Ellen, I just have to ask this question. What in your right mind made you want to become a black belt for mixed martial arts at the age of 54?
Well, I had children late in life, and I had three little girls. I had them within. My daughter was 10 months. I got pregnant with twins, so 3 in diapers. And
why not? There's something else for me to do, right? Why not? I just should get a black belt at the same time.
Well, I was worried about being vulnerable, to be honest with you, with 3 little kids and being distracted. And I got a flyer from my local dojo that said we're giving this free self-defense class. And I'm like, I'm in. So I went to the self-defense class and I was hooked because I thought I was in good shape. I did yoga. I thought I was I thought I was going to die. It was such hard work and so physically demanding that I got hooked. And then when you start getting belts, you feel like
I thought you were going to say when you get the aches and pains. That's where I thought you were going with that.
But you get the belts and you're like, okay, I'll go. So this is actually a funny story. So I got all the way up to high red. That's the belt before you get your black belt. And I had to do a run, and I hate to run. And I had to do a run in a certain amount of time. And I couldn't make it. And if you're 1 second off, they won't let you advance. And so I went to my oldest daughter, who was a teenager at the time, and I said, I can't do it. I'm done. High red is good enough. I'm done. She goes, Mom, no, you can't quit. I want to tell all my friends that my mom has her black belt. And that was it. I'm like, I had to do it, right? So the owners of the dojo were really amazing, and they just worked with me until I finally made the run.
So this was like a Rocky moment when he's ascending up the stairs and you're like, getting strong now.
Yeah, it's like, never give up, never give up, never give up. And the beauty of this story too is the owner of the dojo was when you said I was a cancer survivor, I spoke at the American Cancer Society Gala as a survivor speaker, and I couldn't figure out the end of my speech. And then I'm going to break a board at the end of my speech, because you need a culmination, right?
I don't know, crescendo. So just really leave them thinking.
To break a board is a technique, right? But the person who holds the board is almost as important as the person, hitting it. So it just coincidentally, one of the chairs of the event was friends with the owner of my dojo, and he had already planned to be at the gala. So he came up on stage and held the board for me, and I broke it at the end. I got a standing ovation. There was 900 people there. And so that was a pretty thrilling experience.
Oh, wow, Ellen. You are amazing. Yeah. You are an amazing woman. And thank you so much for taking the time today for imparting some of your information with us today during the show. And if you want to reach out to Ellen, it's Ellen Crane, APR.com, or you can be called at 954-895-3152. A true pleasure, a true inspiration.
A true pleasure for me. Thank you so much.
And all good really things. Fun. And I can't wait to hear more about the next chapter in your life.
Thank you, Fara.
And I want to thank you for joining us. I'm Fara Sachs. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great day. And a special thank you to Julian Chang, who now has a second location in Pinecrest. Go visit his boutique for all your clothing and accessory needs.